More Taurus? Yep, we've got a new moon in Taurus coming right at you. What's up, everyone? It's time to talk about the new moon in Taurus. This is coming in on May 19th at 11:53 a.m. Eastern Time, so make sure to adjust for your time zone. And this new moon is kind of auspicious for a couple of reasons. So this new moon is happening at 28 degrees Taurus, 25 minutes. There's been a lot happening in the sign of Taurus. And 2018, we had Uranus enter the Taurus scene, bringing in some disruption. We've had eclipses happening in Taurus since November of 2021. And we are just finishing up a Mercury retrograde in Taurus at this time, and Jupiter has also just entered Taurus. Would you look at all that Taurus? Look at that. And in this chart, we've got the midheaven there based on my locality. So if you're casting this chart for a different locality, if you live elsewhere in the world, then your chart may look a little different, but that is the chart for Washington, D.C. for this new moon. We also have the North Node there. So even though the node is in Taurus and we have a lunation in Taurus, it's far enough away from the node that this is not an eclipse. So this is our first lunation that is not an eclipse. So this means that eclipse season is over. However, if you think back to that eclipse that I already kind of mentioned, November 19th, 2021, that was our very first eclipse in the Taurus-Scorpio axis that we've been working with ever since that time. And this new moon is happening at that same degree. So that eclipse happened at roughly 27 degrees Taurus, conjunct the fixed star Algol. So the people who I know who have planets and placements at that degree who experience that eclipse, they experience really profound changes. And I saw it run the full spectrum of really challenging to really beautiful new beginnings and that sort of thing for people. So if you follow eclipses and if you follow the technique known as lunar families, which basically says that if you have a new moon at a certain degree, 18 months later, you're going to have the full moon at that degree, or roughly that degree. And 9 months in between, there will be a quarter moon at that degree. So you can follow those lunar families. So like if you have a lunation that activates one of the planets in your charts and it feels like a really big deal, there's a lot happening around that lunation, you can follow that. You can follow that lunar family and see if there are developments that continue to unfold. So this new moon, usually we follow lunar families from new moon to waxing quarter to full moon and so forth. But because this degree is still imprinted in my memory from that eclipse, and because this is our first lunation out of eclipse season, this might be important for you. So if you had an important event in your life around November 19th, 2021, and you have planets at this degree or thereabouts, then this lunation may be really important for you. So like I said, there's been a lot happening in the sign of Taurus. And I think with Jupiter on the scene, Jupiter is like the healing salve. And Mercury retrograde helped us get clear on some things too, I'm sure. I'm sure it unsettled some dust in our Taurus house, but hopefully it helped us get clear on what we want to do moving forward after all this sort of disruption has come through, all this excitement has come through. It doesn't all have to be bad and hectic and disruptive. It can be exciting too. Uranus is very exciting. So anyways, Jupiter comes through to offer like this healing salve. Jupiter's here to offer the perspective, the opportunity, the finding joy, finding the silver linings. And similarly, we have this new moon that's sort of echoing the sentiment of newly ingressed Jupiter, saying, yeah, we're ready for a new beginning in this part of our chart. We also had the Mercury cazimi on May 1st that may have also sort of planted some seeds in us in like a spiritual sort of inner quiet way around what we're going to do moving forward in this terrain of this house. So on a personal level, this is a new beginning for us. And we can start to bring in like a sense of healing or restoring quality there. But I also don't want to underestimate that this is a new moon conjunct Algol. And Algol is one of those dark feminine goddesses. So there's a lot of richness to the mythology of Algol. She's not all bad, okay? But sometimes when the Medusa star gets activated, people do lose their heads a little bit. People can kind of go a little crazy. And it's like, I mean, I don't have time to get into all of the sort of delineations of that, but there is a history of women, you know, and not just women, but being gaslit. And I think that Medusa's mythology of being this enraged goddess, I mean, she was violated. She was violated and then vilified for it. And so her rage is divine. And so this is like a profound feminine rage that Medusa represents. And it's not unfounded. Her rage is not unfounded. There is good reason for her rage. So, you know, we do have Mars at 29 degrees of Cancer. We're going to be talking about this aspect in my next video, because Mars is going to come into Leo and oppose Pluto and square off with Jupiter. And that is a very intense, very volatile kind of energy that isn't necessarily connected with this new moon, but they are happening within a day, within hours of one another. So there is an overlap in terms of time. So feminine rage, divine rage, and it doesn't have to just be feminine, but you know, the feminine, both in terms of gender, but also archetype, is like under attack right now. So yeah, it's a tough time. And so we may see a reactionary energy from that, not necessarily from Taurus. Taurus is very stable. Taurus is all about establishing peace and harmony is really what Taurus cares about. But Taurus also being like a sign that's ruled by Venus and sexuality having a lot to do with the sign of Taurus. And, you know, like, yeah, I just think that like abortion is healthcare. And that's kind of all I'm going to say right now. And if we're going to talk about sex, then we have to talk about reproductive care. And so, yeah, I do think that there is a string of connection there and some of this rage coming out with Algol being activated here. But more importantly, we also want to look at Venus. Venus is in Cancer. And yeah, that is a sign that is associated with families. But yeah, Venus is also just about like protecting and safety and feeling like we're safe at home, you know? So there may be a theme here around protecting the peace, around establishing peace, around sort of rallying with like your unit of people that make you feel safe, secure, make you feel like home. So this, what I'm talking about here, like isn't like a political statement. It's like what we can do on a personal level. So there may be something about establishing peace and establishing order in life that has to do with the people and not having to go it alone. And, you know, saying, yes, I do want connection and leaning into those relationships. Because, you know, we're coming out of a period that was really isolating and a lot of us still haven't recovered. So this Venus in Cancer may be saying like, we need each other. And that may be what that is saying for this new moon. So that is a little bit about this new moon. I mean, other than this really intense aspect brewing with Mars, Pluto, and Jupiter, the new moon being sort of in this mutual reception with Venus, and also the new moon not making any hard aspects. There's something nice about this new moon. So I would encourage you on a personal level, even though the world is going to be really feeling this Mars-Pluto business, what is it that we can do to establish a sense of peace and consistency and embodiment? How can we really claim those practices that are both enjoyable and drop us into that present moment? And there's something about it that involves the people that feel like home. So I would encourage you all to think about that as we head into this Taurus new moon. So that's a little bit about the Taurus new moon. I hope it's peaceful, beautiful, and really brings in that sense of presence that is so restorative and healing into your life. And I hope it's enjoyable. And that was your astrology shot of the day. Bye. Thanks for tuning in with me today. For more astrology in your world, you can connect with me on all platforms at Astro Catherine. You can also book your reading with me at catherineurban.com. And hey, you may also want to join Cauldron, my monthly astrology meetup.